86 is so good, it's honestly just unfair. Alright, so I know I'm a bit late to the party, but I've been watching a few of the new seasonal anime from spring 2021, and they're pretty good, so I want to talk about them. The first anime I want to talk about is 86, made by A1 Pictures and published by Kadokawa. It very much seems to be one of those rare A1 Pictures bangers, think Your Lie in April for example. There are 4 episodes out at the time of recording, and honestly all of them have been incredible so far. But you might wonder, what is the show actually about? The Republic of San Magnolia has been at war with its neighbors, which created unmanned drones called the Legion, and these drones have been absolutely wiping the floor with San Magnolia. But after years of research, they managed to develop their own autonomous drones, turning the war into a fight between machines only. Except for they haven't, because while the 85 districts of the Republic are safely placed inside of fortified walls, there's a secret 86 district outside of the walls. People in this district have been stripped of their humanity and are commonly referred to as pigs, just because they don't have the same hair color as the people living inside of the walls. So the alleged autonomous drones are actually piloted by these people, but because they've been stripped of humanity and just human rights in general, the Republic can just conveniently call these drones unmanned. The story of 86 starts with one of the people inside of the walls, Vladilena Milize, who works as the handler. Handlers are basically the commanders of the 86er units and call the shots. Now Lena's pretty good at that, so she's been promoted to become the new handler of the infamous Spearhead unit, the best unit the Republic has. But the other reason for that promotion is that her predecessor committed suicide, seemingly being broken by the unit's best soldier, known as Undertaker. But Lena isn't fazed by that and wants to get into contact with them and connect with them, as she doesn't just see 86ers as pigs. And honestly, that's pretty much all I want to say for now, as to not take anything away from the viewing experience, because as I said, it's just that good. But why exactly is it that good? So at the very beginning I thought 86 was sort of like a Code Geass, just with spider mechs instead of regular mechs, but it's a much more human story than that. At its core, it's a story about racism and discrimination. It's a story about how in the end, everyone is human, even if they're living in different worlds. This whole contrast between the two worlds, the inner world and the outer world, is just so compelling to watch in this show. They're very different, but at the end of the day, they're still humans living in both of them, with their own struggles and issues. The scenario and concept in general is one of the show's strong points, as it feels very new and refreshing. There's no fantasy world, no one gets transported to a fantasy world, and there's also no idols. In a way, 86 feels very grounded, even though it has a lot of futuristic elements. But that's because these futuristic elements aren't the focus of the story, they just complement it. Now this human story, as I called it, wouldn't work without good characters, but luckily the characters in 86 are very well written. Some of them seem a bit cliche at first, but then get fleshed out with more details later on. It's also really intriguing to see how the people inside of the walls have a very carefree life, whereas the 86ers are scarred by war, with death being a regular occurrence for them. But yet, even with all of that, they try to make the best of their situation and even try to enjoy their lives every once in a while. Lena, on the other hand, is sort of trying to break out of her carefree life and just wants to make a difference. And this contrast between the two sides is beautifully executed and gets exemplified by daily phone calls between them. Seeing them slowly connect over little things and having arguments over others is part of what makes the show feel so grounded. I do also have to shout out the animation, as it's really been a pleasant surprise so far. A1 Pictures have been very average with their animation quality in recent times, I would say, but 86 looks pretty damn good. Even the mech battle sequences that are done with CGI look really solid, and the CGI even allows for some flashy camera movements. I think the reason why these sequences work so well is that A, they used a nice looking shader that doesn't make the CGI stick out as much, but B, and more importantly, there's never any shot with humans and mechs in the same frame, so there's no weird contrast between 2D and 3D. Rather, they're separated, which makes both of them work. Honestly, so far I don't have any proper complaints. Apart from everything I've mentioned so far, the voice acting is also really solid, which gets you invested in the characters, and the soundtrack and sound design overall is pretty banging, with the OP being a bit of a bop. I really can't wait for the rest of the season, and I strongly recommend checking out 86. And that's it for this video. I will probably do more of these first impression review sort of videos in the future, whenever I have something that I want to talk about and that I'm passionate about. So I hope you look forward to that, and if you do, please consider leaving a like and hitting the subscribe button.